You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, April 2nd, episode 3660, brought to you by Poseidon Animal Health.
Hello, Horse World. It's Wednesday, the day you start daydreaming of a weekend with your horses. We'll help you get there with more silly horse talk on Horses in the Morning.
Well, we are glad that you're here, and we have a fun show planned for you today. Jamie and I are going to answer some listener questions. Ashley snuck this in on us, so we're going to answer some listener questions, and they're all over the place. So we'll see what we can get to. We have a lot more than we'll be able to get to, I think. Dr. Erin Roddy of Poseidon Animal Health is going to be here, and she's going to talk to us about keeping your horses healthy in spring and some of the things to look forward to there, plus some weird news. And in our auditor spotlight in the post show, we have Alex Hamilton's going to join us. She has a first in the history of Horse Radio Network, and you're going to find out what that is in the post show today. But before we get to that, so remember I told you on Monday that my pony Scooter, my little Hackney pony, has a spring rash, and it's not just a rash. I mean, we're talking open skin. We're told, yeah, it's bad. And it's on his, in his mane, it's on his back. There's spots everywhere. And I mean, it's raw. It looks like, I don't know what comes after a blister, it's just open. And then on the top of his tail, and then all diaper rashy throughout his butt area. So Jennifer's been treating it. We had the vet out, and we're giving him antihistamines and that kind of stuff. And then she gave this prescription cream. By the way, we're on our second tube of that, so Lord knows what that's costing. And Jennifer yesterday left at 6 in the morning to go visit her mom in Pennsylvania. So she leaves at 6 in the morning. I go out at 8 o'clock to do the horses. This is always what happens to horse husbands when the wife leaves. So I go out at 8 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to doing this twice a day. This is what I really dreamed of when I was 22 years old, making all that money, thinking I was going to be on an island in Hawaii in my retirement. It's not where I pictured being, with gloves on, putting ointment on my pony's butt. So anyway, we go out there, and now because she doesn't want the horse out in grass, the vet said maybe it's something that's growing in the spring, because it happens usually in the spring. So don't put him out in grass for like a week or two. So now he's in his stall, right in his dry lot. So he's not happy. So I take him out and walk him around the fields. Well, Nigel, the thoroughbred's very attached to Scooter and gets really upset when I take Scooter out. So I have it arranged that Nigel can see Scooter the whole time, so I don't have to deal with that. So yesterday I take Scooter out 2 hours after Jennifer leaves. Nigel comes up to the fence and okay, I can see Scooter. We're okay. Remember, we have 2-strand, 1-inch electric tape. Remember the other day I said how happy I was with the electric tape because we would have had to move the wood fencing around? Well, Nigel decides to roll, and I'm watching this from about 10 feet away, and I see him rolling near the fence, and I went, that jerk's going to roll over, get his feet caught in the electric fence, and it's going to become a mess. And sure enough, I watched it like in slow motion. He rolled over, got his foot caught in the electric fence, of course gets up, freaks out, and proceeds to tear about 50 feet of electric fence.
Oh, no.
In about 10 seconds. It's completely wrapped around his legs. 2 of the plastic posts, thank God they were plastic, actually. 2 of the plastic posts, one is jabbing him in the leg because it's attached to the wire. The other has hit him in the butt. And then one of the gates, those gate handles, the plasticky ones for electric fence, is hanging over his back. And he has, by this point, completely ripped it to shreds and detached it. And it's completely wrapped around his body to the point where I went, well, now what do I do? Because I don't even know what, he fortunately stopped. He did stop and look at me like, what are you going to do about this?
So was it continually shocking him, or had it ripped
he had
out
ripped it.
from?
I mean, torn it to shreds, which is what's supposed. Thank God we didn't have the wire. We had the tape.
Yeah.
Because that does tear easier and doesn't cut them, right? So, because we've had electric wire cut horses before, that's why we don't use the wire. And now I'm holding Scooter, who's looking, going, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm going, "Okay, I'm holding Scooter. I can't let him go because we're not in a pasture. It's perimeter fenced, but I didn't want that." So I walk over with Scooter, and I'm going, "I got to do something." And Nigel, I give him credit, is standing there looking at me. But I thought, as soon as I take one piece of this off, he's going to go ballistic. And sure enough, I managed to get the gate off his back. And then he just lost it because everything else is wrapped around and hitting him. And then he takes off and pieces of it start to fall off. One of the plastic posts fell off. But he has them all wrapped around his legs. And one of the plastic posts is poking him in the leg. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Because he will not let me get near his legs at this point. And I went, he's just going to walk out of it all. And that's what happened. He finally I give him credit. He wasn't running. He was walking. But, he was trying to kick it off and everything else. And he walked it out of it all. And then I went, okay, well, now I got a loose horse. I got pieces of electric fence everywhere. And I got Scooter.
And you're leading your hounded pony. Oh my
hand,
God.
who was just going out thinking he was going to get for a walk and to eat a tiny bit of grass. I was like, I got to put Scooter in, and hopefully Nigel will follow. Sure enough, Nigel's that attached that I walked him into the stall, and Nigel walked right in his stall. And it ended up, I took a look at Nigel. I went over him. He had 2 tiny little cuts, nothing to worry about. And that was it. But this is 2 hours after my wife leaves.
Well, and see, that's the problem is you went and messed with the horses too soon after her leaving. You've got to give it a couple more hours just to give a buffer because they know she just left. We got to screw something up. That's crazy. Oh my God. And then you're just like hamstrung. You're like,
yep,
I can't do anything. I'm just like, there's sometimes, okay, this is my favorite line about when stuff happens that you can't control. Okay. Have you ever seen the movie Legends of the Fall?
No.
Okay. It's
Sounds
a
like
Brad
a
Pitt movie. It's Brad Pitt. And he's like, it's basically Brad Pitt being like kind of like a mountain man with his whole family and all this stuff. And anyway, a spoiler alert, the movie's like 30 years old, but in the end, he gets killed by a bear. Okay. And you don't see it or anything, but there's a guy narrating it. Okay. And he's an old Native American guy and he's narrating about what happened to Tristan and all this stuff. And then his final line in the movie, after reporting that Tristan got eaten by a bear, the guy's final line was, "It was a good death." And so I say that all the time. I'm like, well, it was a good death. If he dies, he dies. Ivan Drago, like from Rocky IV, I'll be like, if he dies, he dies. He's talking about fighting. Yeah. So like, I'm like, it was a good death. Whatever. It's fine. If he dies, he dies. It was a good death.
What would you have done differently? I mean, it all happened in 10 seconds. It happened it seems slow motion, but it all happened so fast.
When stuff like that happens, what are you going to, initially, if I would have seen him trying to roll, I would have been like, hey, quit it, because you knew what was coming, but it happens so fast. What are you going to do? If he dies, he dies. Ivan Drago.
He was completely wrapped up. And the thing, I think I was in a little bit of shock because I was like, he's going to get it wrapped around his foot. But it went from that to the entire 50 feet of fence wrapped around his whole body in a matter of seconds. It's like, I would think I was standing there going, how the hell did you do that quickly, And then, I don't have time to go put Scooter away because,
No, you're standing there like, if he dies, he dies. It's an Apollo Creed. Here we go.
And all I could think of is I get over there and I start it's going to be dangerous to try and unwrap him, especially holding a pony. So I don't know.
Well, you did good. You just kind of let things play out. Sometimes horses, they just try to kill themselves.
What else was I going to do? Anything else was dangerous for everybody. right?
Yeah.
It was dangerous for Nigel, for Scooter, and me, because I didn't know when Scooter was going to freak out. Fortunately,
well,
he didn't.
remember what Monty said to me on the show. He goes, "No horse's life is worth a human's life." So at times you just have to go, all right, let's see how this plays out. Like, what are you going to do?
It played out, by the way, the best way it could have, because, in about 50 feet, he had lost all the parts, had fallen off.
Did you fix the fence?
Oh, I took 2 hours then fixing the fence. And of course, Jennifer had about 20 feet of fence left on the roll. And so I was, that fence is so tied into pieces from the parts I could gather from the, because she didn't have much left. And I was like, well,
I'm going to go with it's probably not hot anymore, just so you know. Ask me how I know.
I know. I need to get to the store and actually pick up some new fencing and replace all the ones with 25 knots.
That's cool. It's cool. Right. This morning we got so much rain and I was like, the round pin is a mess. I'm going to drag the round pin. And so I drove my Ranger into the round pin to go to drag it and I got it stuck. And so currently Farm Boy is down digging out the Ranger from being stuck in my round pin. Well, so you know what? Stuff happens. Stuff happens.
Let me just say, for everybody living in the middle of the country, we're thinking about you. They're calling for like biblical weather. So keep your head down. And Ashley, I know, had her worst haboob yet living in New Mexico. So
I can see the Ranger driving up the driveway.
Oh, yay. Is it all muddy and dirty? Needs a bath.
I don't know. I see a very sweaty Farm Boy. It's fine. It'll be fine.
All right. Let's do some daily Whinnies. All right, we have a couple of auditor birthdays, several of them actually. Hannah Barker, Jennifer Pigg, April Kamek, Lily Harmon, and Ann Carney. Happy birthday to all of you. A whole lot of them today. Your turn.
Well, I've got a couple things here. First of all, I wanted to thank Monica Raymond. She heard about, the potential for wildfires, and I guess she's kind of like a trail riding guru up in New England. Yeah. And so she sent me these really sweet that she sent me these like ID tags that have a clip and it came with instructions on how to braid it into your horse's mane. And she's like, send me a couple of them. She's like, if ever you can't get all the horses in the trailer, braid these into your horse's mane when you go to set them loose. So it was just very sweet of her to think about that and to let me know about products like that. The other one is Teresa. She said it's the kind of we need a bumper for the new horse sound effect.
Yeah, we do. Let me write that down.
Yeah, I'll write that down because I love it. She said, I figured this group would appreciate my newest addition to the herd. It was if it's free, it's for me situation. I love that. That needs to be a shirt too. If it's free, it's for me. Also, I swear it isn't a requirement that they have to be dark bay. It just keeps happening. Apparently, she's got a large collection of dark bay horses that are free. And this one is the stinking cutest fuzzy mini you've ever seen. So congratulations. I love it.
I got to know, though, Teresa, was it a Craigslist ad? That's what I got to know. Whether this mini is so cute with hair everywhere.
Oh, my God. He's adorable.
I want him. If you get sick of him, send him down. I'm sure he doesn't crash the electric fence like the thoroughbred.
Oh, sure. I'm sure the minis are always angels. Always.
Well, we're going to get to our question and answer segment right after this. Horse lovers, are you ready to maximize your savings? Then listen up. The State Line Tack Rewards Program is your ticket to exclusive deals and discounts. Joining is absolutely free, and you'll earn points with every purchase. These points unlock member-only coupons, special promotions, and early access to the biggest sales. Plus, you'll be automatically entered into monthly prize drawing. I just thought about early access to the biggest sales because on their biggest sales, they always run out. So having early access would be important. Redeem your hard-earned points for discounts on everything State Line Tack offers. Saddles, bridles, riding apparel, stable supplies, and more. Don't miss out on these incredible savings. Visit statelinetack.com/rewards. We'll put the link for that in our show notes. You'll find it right there in your player. You can sign up today and start earning State Line Tack rewards. All right, Ashley did a post in the auditor room, and this was the Ask Us Anything segment, which I think she's hoping we'll do on a regular basis.
I did not approve of this.
So these are auditor questions. We got too many. We're not going to be able to get to them all. I did pick a couple, and I know you picked a couple here. So you want me to go first? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Lisa asked this one. What was the story of how you met Coach Jen and fell in love? You two are so damn cute. Well, thank you for that, Lisa. I've talked about this on the show before, but we have so many new listeners, and it's been a while. We met. I was working at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. My actual title was Town Crier and Flirt. My job was to be the town crier because I was the loudest one in the cast, make way for the queen and all that stuff. And I also was to flirt with... This is the very beginning of the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. You couldn't even do this now because there's so many people there. But it was very beginning. There were only 1,000 people that came a day instead of 100,000. So I was supposed to flirt with as many females as I could during the day. That was my job.
Oh my God, you'd so be Me Too'd right now. You'd be so canceled.
I would. And kissing hands, kiss as many hands as I could. That's how I met Jennifer. She was at the archery range and she was a guest. And I saw her from the back first. Tell this story all the time. She was wearing bright yellow pants and had a cute butt. And that's what I saw first. And she knows I tell this story. And I went up and said hi to her. And then she actually came back the next week to see me at the Renaissance Fair. And it went from there. We had our first date a week or two after that. And then she ended up working the Renaissance Fair the next couple of years and got together and eventually got married, had a Renaissance wedding and all of that. So the acting company started from that. So that was our story of how we met. She cute ass at the archery range. It's a true story.
Well,
see, there's an advantage to being a horse girl right there.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
No, I love that story. I love it. And just you guys were made for each other. I mean, guy in tights. Oh, hello. Looks so hot.
So she often jokes about the fact that, I saw her butt first, right, in the yellow pants, but she saw me in tights and a skirt. So that's how we met. Yeah.
I'm made for each other. I mean, that's all there is. I don't know who asked this question. Was it Hillary who asked this question? I don't know who asked it, but it says, have you ever had a Morgan in your training program? Have I ever trained a Morgan horse? No.
Yeah, I don't remember you talking about one.
Nope, never had a Morgan.
That's not intentional, just never happened.
It just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, I know there's a Morgan trainer close by. She probably hoards all the Morgans. So that's what it is. I don't have a great story, but the other two I have longer stories for.
Okay.
You're next.
Well, this one's for both of us. What are your favorite and least favorite horses that you've ever owned? Well, my favorite has to be my first pony that we bought at the auction for $90 at the New Holland auction. My first pony taught me to drive, took us all over the world, all over the county up there, and we had belonged to a driving club, and we went on so many drives with that. Yep, Piper, and that pony lived 42. So I had a stroke at 42, but was driving to 35. So yeah, it was a good pony. So that was my favorite. What about your favorite?
I didn't pick that one to answer.
Okay.
You'll have to add
then
that
I'll
one
give
to
you.
next
You
one.
want me to give you least favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. And I wish I could swear. I wish we were in the post show. This effing Arab horse that Jennifer got, I don't know from where. This is right after we first met at our first farm. And this horse tried to kill her twice. I mean, this Arab was just nutso. I think definitely had a screw loose. But I mean, that horse dumped her so many times, and Jennifer's a pretty good rider. Dumped her so many times, and then she thought, well, I'll try and drive it. And I've told this story before. I'm sitting in the bathroom on the first floor of our house, looking out the window as the damn white Arab horse goes flying by with what's left of the carriage.
Oh God!
That horse was training in the arena. Jennifer was driving it in the arena and crashed through the 3-board wooden fence. She said that horse hit it 3 times till it broke all the boards. We sold that horse the next day, and I don't know where the horse went. I don't care. It was my least favorite. That was a dangerous horse, and it just happened to be an Arab. It could have been any kind, but I hated that horse. Anyway, that was the horse.
I think Melissa sent this one in. If you could ride any animal beside a horse, what would it be?
Oh, yeah.
So I've said this for a long time. I don't think I've ever said it on the show, but I always thought it would be really fun to, and we've talked to people that have done this, but they haven't taken it as far as I want to. Okay. I want to train a cow to ride and jump. And my goal was always, I'm going to take a cow to Rolex, and I'm going to have a cow, and I'm going to revolutionize the beef industry because I'm going to take cows and make them riding animals. And so people aren't going to want to eat them anymore, just like people don't want to eat horses. And I'm going to revolutionize beef industry, and I'm going to save the whole.
Do you remember we had that Texas girl? She's one of my Facebook friends that rode the cow and jumped the cow. We had her on years ago. God, that has to be 10 years ago.
And I know. And I was like, you're living my dream. But, she hasn't really revolutionized the beef industry yet. And that was a big part of my plan.
Yeah, I think that's extreme.
Big goals, big dreams.
Nikki asked, Glenn, would you ever go back to play the king at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair? Boy, if in a world where I had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, that would be fun to do. But the Renaissance fairs have changed a lot since we were doing them. They're so crowded now. When we started the Renaissance Fair, I say we started them because we did. We started the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And when we started that in the first year or two, there was so little crowd, and we played a lot in the streets, and we had a lot of interaction with the guests. Now the Renaissance fairs are so crowded, you don't do that a lot anymore. If you're not doing a stage show, there's not a lot of interaction. So I enjoyed the guest stuff in the streets, the improv stuff, the best. And I just think there's so much of that, especially if you're royalty. They just don't get to do that anymore. So yeah, it'd be fun to play a king at the Renaissance Fair, but I don't think in today's world I'd want to do it. I think it'd be hard.
Well, you can't. You've already married. There's no reason you have to pick up chicks.
Doesn't mean I couldn't have a queen with me. Although Jennifer would definitely not do it. So, yeah. She doesn't even like going to the Renaissance fairs anymore. She won't go. She's just done with that.
Post-traumatic stress. Yeah. Finally, now Jessica has asked this question, and I want you to know, I've told this story on the show before, but again, we have lots of new listeners, and I would like to tell you that my palms are sweating even thinking of this story. And I think you know which one I'm going to tell. The question is, we want to hear the most unhinged story you have from your radio days.
Can you cut it down to just one? I mean, there's so many.
There's the worst. It also files under like most embarrassing moments, the worst I've ever behaved. I mean, it's just like there's just no excuse for my behavior. So I was at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, okay, one of the media on the red carpet, and then we actually some of us got tickets to go into the award show. And the Screen Actors Guild Awards is one of those, like, it's like kind of like the Oscars or something like that. It's like same deal, dressed up, red carpet. I mean, I was on the radio, and my whole outfit was done by Bloomingdale's, my hair, makeup, everything. I had like the most amazing dress, the most amazing. In my life, you're never going to look as good as you do when you're on the red carpet for stuff. And there are celebrities everywhere. And this was back when one of the movies that was nominated for Best Picture was Blood Diamond. And it's a Djimon Hounsou and Leonardo DiCaprio. Okay. And they're there. And of course, like, I was radio. So when people are on the red carpet, they just walk by me because I didn't have a camera, So
I'm surprised they even let the radio people do that.
I know. It's because they want to promote it on there. So like the whole thing was like, oh, we're sending Jamie to LA to be on the red carpet. I did it 3 years in a row. And it's like, I will never, I mean, I check that box. It is the most stressful, most exhausting, stressful thing. But I'm in the award show. It's the only time I got to go to the show. And I'm in the award show, and the girls at our table are like, listen, we're in the very back and the bar is in the back. And she was like, every time there's a commercial break, go to the bar because that's where all the celebs are, and like whatever, it's fine. So we go back there. We have by like the fourth commercial, our whole table is covered in unconsumed drinks. Like, it's just because we just run down there. And so, oh God, I'm starting, and my heart's palpitating telling you this. Okay. So I go up to the bar, and I'm standing there, and I look to my left, my elbow brushes up against Leonardo DiCaprio. And can I just tell you, I mean, again, this was like 15 years ago, and oh my God, he is so beautiful. Like, I mean, just so beautiful in person. Like, he's very tall, and just the most beautiful
young
human
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so was I. Okay. So, I mean, and I've never looked as good. I'm in this super sexy black dress. My hair is done. My makeup's done. You can't look any better than I looked at that moment. So I'm like, okay, this is the one chance that I have in my entire life to speak and talk to Leonardo DiCaprio. He was standing, I mean, he was like 6 inches from my face. Like my face was next to his shoulders because he's like that close and he's that tall and we're standing belly up against the bar. And I was like, okay, here we go. And I turned around and I looked at him and I said, and like, there was like a malfunction. Something happened to me, Glenn, and there was a malfunction
all those drinks
in my brain. No, because we were really drinking that much. We were just ordering drinks, and I spit all over the right shoulder of his jacket, like his dress coat. And he picks up a napkin and he wipes off his shoulder and like looks at me and like turns around, shakes his head, and walks off.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? What just like I can't believe I just did that. And I mean, like spit, it's just awful. And I turn around and Digimon Hinsu, he was in Gladiator. He's like a super tall.
He's a big dude,
and
isn't he?
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And I turn around and I look at him. He's standing right behind me. Saw the whole thing. And I go, what did I do? And he just looks at me, goes, oh no. And he shakes his head at me. And I swear to God, I still think to this day, Leonardo DiCaprio thinks it's really big of the SAG boards to allow mentally challenged people into the award. Like there's so, like, I mean, I can't, I see him and I still love him, but like there is a flush of shame and embarrassment and I have met so many celebrities and like been so cool. Like just something happened. I just malfunctioned.
We've had someone on the show, you became friends with them.
I know it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, but I just can't. And every time I see him in a movie,
Leonardo's your kryptonite.
I mean, like my pregnancy pillow was named Leo because like you just spoon it all the time. We named it Leo. Like that's how obsessed I've been in my whole life. Like, and I don't look any better. You can't act any better. And then to see the shame upon Digimon Hinsu's face when he looked at me and he was just like, oh no. So thank you, Jessica, for letting me relive that fantastic mental handicap that I had. And just
do you think he went back to the table and said, some woman just spit all over me?
Dude, they're letting like special educated people here. Like there's a girl up at the bar who's
stay away from that bar. Go to the other one.
Stay away from her. There's something wrong with her. And I mean, just the fact he slowly picked up a bar napkin and wiped my
the napkin is just the ultimate insult.
And like looked at me and just walked off. And I know people have done stupid stuff to famous people. I'm not the worst one in the world. I'm sure people do stupid stuff, but like something like my face quit working, but the air still came out of my mouth. And so it was like this whole like vomit of spit that just poured. Okay, can we move on? I need a drink.
This Ask Anything segment has been brought to you by Daily Dose Equine, non-GMO core nutrition for horses and ponies of all ages. Let us know if you like this and you want us to do it again next month.
I'm not doing this anymore.
Non-GMO whole food nutrition is the basis of the entire Daily Dose Equine program. We never forget that natural is better and simplicity is key. Our full line of specialty horse feeds is unique in the industry. We start with high-quality non-GMO grains that are flame roasted for safety and better digestibility. And then we add non-GMO alfalfa, timothy, peas, sunflower seeds, and flax. Your horse will enjoy unsurpassed balanced core nutrition with elevated levels of vitamins, zinc and copper, prebiotics, probiotics, and electrolytes in every mouthful. Find the perfect formulation for your horse at dailydoseequine.com. Select Daily Dose Equine formulations are available nationwide through Chewy.com and TractorSupply.com.
Well, coming up next, we have Erin Roddy from Poseidon Animal Health. She joins us to talk about horse health. We're talking about horses in spring and what to look out for. And actually, Ashley and I did this one earlier. We recorded this earlier in the day. So here it is.
And joining us now is Dr. Erin Roddy from Poseidon Animal Health, joining us today to talk about spring. While it hasn't quite sprung where I am, I hear that the rest of the country is getting spring in between storms. Thanks so much for joining us today, Erin.
So good to be with you guys. It is definitely spring here in Ocala, Florida. And I think it's running away into summer. So it's definitely
it's supposed
time.
to be in the 90s today and tomorrow. It's like, what
It really
what
is.
happened?
Florida seems to sort of run right past spring and run right through fall. So it is spring here and in a lot of the country. Certainly people are, if they're not experiencing spring, I think they're starting to think about it. So it's good to start talking about what that brings.
Totally. And you bring up a great point, Florida aside, I know the rest of us are having some hot and cold, getting ready to get to true spring. And with the temperature changes and even, let's say weather events that happen in spring, what are some of the most common health concerns that you see throughout spring?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I think the biggest thing to remember about horses is that they actually don't deal with change very well. Horses are really designed to stick to a routine. Their body works well on a routine, particularly in their gastrointestinal system. We talk about the microbiome, right? Which is basically a bunch of bugs that live inside the horse. And those guys run the horse. They digest their food. They make a lot of their hormones. They make a lot of their vitamins. They make the volatile fatty acids that actually give horses energy and build muscle and all that good stuff. The immune system also lives in the gut. And, any time that a horse experiences change, that's very disruptive to the microbiome. And the more that we learn about it, the more we learn that actually even little tiny small bits of change can really wreak havoc on those bugs. And so obviously springtime is a big time of change, which is great. It's exciting for a lot of people that have very cold winters. They're thinking about starting to ride their horse more. Maybe their horse is getting to go outside more. And while all of those things are positive, there's still change. So we have to realize anytime we're changing something for the horse, it's going to be stressful. And let's try to moderate that as much as we can.
So what are some things that horse owners should be on the lookout? Let's say my horse is coming, out of the winter and I'm throwing him out to pasture on all this beautiful grass that's springing up. What are some things that we could look for as horse owners, to see that the biome is angry at us for all these changes?
Absolutely. So a lot of stuff we start to see in springtime is change in manure quality. So anytime that we're changing what the horse is eating, that can affect the biome, and then that can affect their manure quality. And that can just be loose manure, that can be all the way to diarrhea, that can be fecal water syndrome, everybody's favorite thing, or it can even be colic. Sometimes horses get out and they haven't had grass in weeks or months, and they definitely eat too much because they can't control themselves, a little bit like me at Cold Stones. So, we have to think about moderating things for our horses. So if we're reducing the amount of hay that they're eating because we're increasing pasture, let's do that really slowly. Sometimes, depending on where you live, there can be all kinds of new hay available to buy. And we think, I'm going to buy this hay because, we've had the same hay all winter and I'm going to do something different. And that's really exciting. But we need to make those changes really slowly because we can definitely see manure changes. We can see colic changes. And then another thing that often comes with pasture is actually a thing called mycotoxins. So mycotoxins are little tiny toxins that live anywhere in the horse's environment, particularly in pasture and particularly in hay. And when horses are exposed to mycotoxins, it can cause all sorts of inflammatory processes in their body. So we might see that as skin rash. We might see that as swollen legs. We might see that as edema, the horse just not feeling well. And that can really cause major health issues if we're not onto it. And we see a lot of that in the spring, lush growing grass, particularly if it's wet and getting a bit warmer, like it is here in Florida and other places around the country. We can see a lot of mycotoxicosis, which is important to be on the lookout for.
So it's important, even though we're excited that spring is springing, to take a deep breath and let's go slowly for our equine friends. And I wanted to circle back. You had mentioned, getting back into exercise. Everybody loves a beautiful day to ride. What are some things we should be aware of as we increase the horse's activity to avoid injury, coming out of winter, we're not ready to go do a full cross country course.
Exactly right. We definitely are not. I think neither us are the riders nor the horses, but we need to remember, just like with people, horses are athletes. And when they've lost a little bit of muscle tone and cardiovascular fitness, and they've also lost the fitness in their tendons and their ligaments, we need to build that up slowly. So you're 100% right. People get really excited. It's a nice warm day. Let's throw that gear on and let's just go ride. And it's really important, just like with the slow change in feed, that we do a slow reintroduction to exercise. So maybe we just walk a little bit. Maybe we do a little bit of light lunging. I always like to say, when you're starting your horse, watch them. So just like us, their heart rate and their respiratory rate will increase. Once you start to see that, that's probably enough for your first few rides. We don't really want to go all the way to like a lather of sweat the first few times we exercise. Let's get that heart rate up, and then let's bring it back down again, and get the heart rate up and bring it back down again. And I think, it's always better to err on the side of doing a little bit less than a little bit more, because the worst thing you want to happen is maybe you have a tendon injury or a muscle injury right at the beginning of spring. And then guess what? We're probably not riding for all of spring and maybe all of summer. So a little bit of caution in the beginning, is going to pay off in dividends as we get into this long riding season. And same with turnout. Actually, if you haven't turned your horse out in a few months, unfortunately, they may be liable to want to go and run and buck and play and be very silly in the turnout. And that can also lead to injuries, because horses just are not that good at doing what's best for them. They seem to be really good at doing the absolute worst thing for them possible. So making sure that you're really careful with that turnout. Sometimes I like to use some light sedation or use a buddy, or just, monitor the turnout, so that we're making sure that these horses are not just going out and running amok for hours. And then again, we've got an injury that is going to sort of kill our hopes of a productive spring and summer riding season.
My pony I'm dealing with right now, a little Hackney pony, has this rash thing. And I mean, it's actually kind of bad. It was, scabby and everything. We've had the vet out and everything. He gets this every spring, and we cannot figure out why. And yeah. I'm assuming there are spring things like this too that just pop up and you go, I don't know why the hell this is happening.
There absolutely are. And that can be a number of things. So often we've got plants that are popping up. I know particularly in my farm, I've got weeds that if I touch them, they are very painful. Yeah, and I know for a fact there's one particular paddock where if I let my horses out and they roll in that paddock, they will develop a skin irritation. Also, we obviously have bugs. As it gets warmer and we want to go outside, so do our friends, the bugs. So we can see all sorts of reactions from different kinds of bugs that are reemerging. And then the other thing I would consider that we just talked about is that mycotoxicosis. And it's not something that I think is really well known to a lot of people, but it definitely exists, and it can cause all sorts of strange and wonderful reactions in our horses. So thinking about using a mycotoxin binder in your feed or adding a mycotoxin binder can often clear up a lot of these sort of strange ailments that we can't put any other finger on. Time and time again, that often relates back to a mycotoxin exposure.
So what do you have at Poseidon Animal Health that would be perfect for spring to help horses out?
Yeah, so we've got two products. So the first one I'll talk about is stress paste, and that's kind of our go-to for any time we're having change in the horse. So it's a paste. You can give it over the tongue or mix it in feed, but it does a really good job of protecting the stomach and protecting the hindgut and protecting the small intestine as the horse is going to experience change. So if we're changing feed, we're changing weather, we're introducing some new turnout or some new activity, we're just going to provide that extra level of protection. And then our other product is Digestive HP. So that's a complete gut health supplement. We feed it every day, and it contains a whole host of wonderful ingredients, in particular a mycotoxin binder, which is great for spring, but also buffers and amino acids and pre and postbiotics that support that gut as we're coming back into work and as we are starting to experience all the wonderful things that come with spring and summer. They're everybody's favorite time, but they certainly can wreak havoc on our horses' systems. And I think if we can do a good job taking care of and preventing our horses from getting unwell or getting hurt now, we're going to have a great riding season all the way till we're talking about winter again.
And they can be found at PoseidonAnimalHealth.com. And am I remembering correctly that there's nothing in here that tests?
It absolutely show safe, nothing that tests, completely natural ingredients, and really different from anything on the market in that they're complete. So this is kind of your one-stop shop, and hopefully that's all you're doing to have a really healthy and happy spring and summer.
Well, Erin, it's always fun to have you on, and we always learn so much. We appreciate it. So now I'll let you get back out to your 90 degrees.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
Yeah, it is that time of the week when I want to thank everybody who contributed stories to this week's Weird News. Delia, Laureen, Melissa, Michelle, Sherry, Carrie, Shelly, Aaron, Glenn, Janelle, Ruth, and Jolynn. All of you, thank you very much. If you're ever looking through the news and you're like, oh my God, that is weird, send it to me. weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com. Let's see. We're going to start in Asheville, North Carolina. We don't really go to Asheville, North Carolina. It's such a nice fair town. But unfortunately, the mugshot of this guy is just everything you could imagine. So a guy named Jeffrey Dwayne Bradburn he got hungry, Glenn. He got hungry. So what did he do? He decided to go into an Asheville grocery store and just help himself to a cinnamon bun. Okay. He helps himself to a cinnamon bun. He starts eating it. And as he's walking out of the grocery store, they're like, hey, you got to pay for that. And he pulls out a machete and is like, no. And he walks out of the store brandishing a machete in one hand, cinnamon bun in the other as he's eating it. Okay.
Where do these people get machetes?
I don't know. Why do you have a machete?
I can't tell you the last time I've carried a machete.
I mean, who carries machetes? People don't just carry machetes. Well, I'm going to tell you something else that you're not going to be surprised about. But anyway, the police were called. They found him, and they found him pretty much right outside the store with his machete, eating the rest of the cinnamon bun. So pretty much guilty. Now, you're not going to be shocked to say that he is being charged with robbery with a dangerous weapon, shoplifting, and wait for it, possession of drugs and drug paraphernalia.
Oh, yeah. Let me guess, he has tattoos on his face, too.
On his face.
I knew it.
You got it. He's a white guy with like a goatee, and he's got dreadlocks, but he's starting to bald in the front. So the dreadlocks are like off to the side, and he's got multiple face tattoos. So there you go.
Yeah.
The pictures. You know what? If you guys want to see pictures that are included in these things, I'm not going to post them, but you can just Google them. And in this story, you would have to Google, man requires medical attention after getting his girlfriend's hand stuck in his mouth. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to China, where oh my God. Because there's clips of them walking into the emergency room like this. So basically what happened is they were filming like some TikTok video, and her hands were really small and his mouth was really big. So like, let's be funny and see if we can make a TikTok video of us putting your hand in your entire hand in my mouth. So she stuffs her fist in his mouth just fine. But then she tried to pull it out, but his mouth muscles had like stiffened and the hand became stuck. Now, as the jaw muscles continue to stiffen, they continue to clamp down.
Oh, no.
So now he's just biting down on her hand, and she can't get her hand out, and he can't get her hand out, and he can't open his mouth anymore because the muscles have completely seized. And so they basically had to walk to the ER with his mouth open with her fist inside it, and they had to go through thank God the doors were electric, sliding doors. So she's like, my boyfriend's, we're filming a video, it tells the whole story. So basically he had drooled so much because he can't close his mouth that her sleeve and her shirt were soaked, and basically the more the muscles contracted tighter, she's like, I felt like my hand was stuck in a meat grinder.
How did they get it out?
basically they had to they tried to calm the patient first by playing soothing music and then tried to use a special mouth opener to expand his jaw. But basically they ended up having to inject muscle relaxers into his jaw to get him to rotated his wrist and pull her entire face out of the mouth. Now, I would like to let you know, he is taking this message to the public to let you know that he wanted to present this case as a cautionary tale, warning people that forcing a person's jaw open can cause nerve damage, and we would like you to not jam your fist into somebody's mouth. Thank you.
Can I just say how happy I am that Americans aren't the only ones doing dumbass things for videos?
Yes, and also, thank God there wasn't this kind of option when I was a kid. Oh my God.
Yes, that's true. I didn't think about that.
No.
You're right. Oh my God.
Let's see. Now we're going to go to Portland, Oregon, because weird stuff happens everywhere. We've gone from North Carolina all the way to China. And now we're going to go to Oregon because a man living in Portland, Oregon has a question for his neighbors. Okay. All he wants to do, it started in September. He noticed that his recycling, he would roll his big blue recycling bin out to the street and it would not get picked up. And he was like, calls the recycling, like the company, like, why didn't you pick up my recycling? And he said, well, you've got containers, plastic containers that are full, and we only take empty plastic containers. So he's like, there's no full containers for recycling. So he goes out to the recycling bin, opens the top, and lo and behold, there was several gallon-sized full bottles of urine. Yeah. 6 of them the first time. So he had to take the bottles of urine out, and all he had to do was put them in his trash bin. So he takes the urine out. Why? He's like, why are there giant bottles of urine in my trash bin? Let's fast forward several weeks. It keeps happening. He's put cameras out. He can't seem to get the guy, like the camera's not clear enough. So he ended up stopping taking out his recycling bin. And now the urine depositor has now gone and started putting urine in his neighbor's recycling bins. Again, it's weird news.
That's weird.
It's so weird.
Is it a homeless guy? We don't know.
Why is he collecting his urine in bottles and then putting them in people's recycling bins?
Yeah.
There's no answer.
Yeah.
I don't have any ansers, just more questions.
Yeah.
But again,
I thought we lived in a snooty county. They don't let us recycle urine here either. So
jerks. Okay.
Not just glass. They don't take urine either.
We're going to go to Kansas this time, and I'm going to tell you a tale, Glenn, that is going to, well, I mean, it might not bother you, but all the women listening and the women who have children. So there was a babysitter. This is in Kansas. It's all very, like, there's no names of anybody, no anything. It's in Barton County. The sheriff's office said it responded to reports of a disturbance at a house outside of Great Bend, Kansas. So apparently this babysitter, just tell you the story. The babysitter is putting the kids to bed. And she goes in to check on him. And the little boy is like, I can't sleep. There's a monster under my bed. There's a monster under my bed. And she's like, there's not a monster. I mean, how many kids are like, there's a monster under my bed? And there's not a monster under your bed. It's not a thing. There's no thing. So she's like, fine. He's like, I can't. There's a monster under my bed. She's like, fine. I'll just look. And she gets down on her hands and knees. And she puts her cheek right next to the carpet. And looks under the bed, opens her eyes, and there is somebody 6 inches from her face staring at her underneath this child's bed. There was a man underneath the bed, and all the child kept saying was monster under the bed. Like a real man. The child was about to be taken by this dude who's like hiding underneath the bed. And the kid's like, there's a monster in my bed. Yes, there is a monster under your bed, but it's worse than a monster because it's a man. It was a man who apparently once lived in the residence, and they had even had a protection order to keep him away because he was constantly coming back to the house. And so basically he broke in and had been living under the bed for 2 nights. So she screams, calls the police. Dude runs out of the house, flees the scene, but the police come they quote, short foot pursuit. He was then taken into custody. He was arrested on charges of aggravated kidnapping, aggravated burglary, aggravated battery, child endangerment, felony obstruction of a law enforcement officer, and
they
violation
looked for
of
anything they could
order.
to throw against this
Everything.
guy. Anything aggravated, they gave him.
They gave him everything. Can you imagine? Like,
would you ever babysit again?
Oh no, no, I'm done.
And that
I'm
poor
retired.
child.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
I mean,
There's a
we get
monster
through
in
life because the boogeyman that was in the closet wasn't really there and we never found him. But this poor kid did have somebody.
No, it did happen. This poor kid. And apparently when the kid is like, jumps off his bed and screams, the guy jumps out from under the bed and runs, knocks the kid over, knocks the babysitter over, and takes off out of the house. I would never sleep again. Never sleep. I'm going to have to get a bed that is flush with the ground. You know what I mean? Like like I'm gonna sleep on a mattress on the floor.
like when you were poor.
That the boogeyman is real. I mean, imagine so the lesson here is, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever hear your kids say there's a monster under my bed,
I'm not looking. I'm moving.
Get your gun, or just take him out of the house.
Yeah, we're just leaving.
Him out of the house.
I'm not hanging around.
Oh my God. So there you go. There's your weird news.
Child.
Again, that poor babysitter.
Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I'm never sleeping again. At least he might be young enough to get over it. But yeah, there was a man underneath the bed. My God. Okay, so remember, these are all weird news stories. And if you ever come across a story and you're like, dude, that's super weird, send it to me, Jamie, weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com. Now, I would like to give an update to those of several of you who sent me the story about the police chief pooping in the police precinct offices. I wasn't going to do that one. Also, to those of you who keep sending me the messages about the Przewalski horses that were picked up in the auction, I did that like 2 months ago. So sorry you missed it. But yeah, a lot of them that don't get done, I've already done them. So you just go back and listen because I probably did them already. But again, don't ever hesitate to send me stories. But while I enjoy these stories, like the story of the officer pooping in the offices, I don't do those on the air. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. weirdnews@horseradionetwork.com.
Yesterday, we'll end on this. Yesterday was I can't end on pooping in the office. Yesterday was April Fool's.
I didn't tell it.
Yesterday was April Fool's Day. And there were a couple cute ones this year. I give them credit. Eventing Nation had a cute one. They usually come up with something clever. They did, this was the title, Riders Testing Out AI Written Dressage Tests, FEI Reviewing Legality. And what was very funny, it was very obviously April Fool's, but I like some of the movements in the tests included begin at X, vibe diagonally toward E while manifesting impulsion. I love that one. Here's another one I loved. Transition from collected trot to working canter, then emotionally spiral into a flying change.
That's great.
Final halt salute. Tell the judge how that made you feel. It's like, this was pretty good. They had a whole article. It was very well done. Horse Illustrated had a fun article too. The title was Horse Illustrated announces inaugural Take Your Horse to Work Day. And they had done AI pictures of horses in offices and different places. It was very cute. I give them credit for that.
Somebody I know actually sent me a message about VI was now allowing zebras into competitions and stuff. And I was like,
yes. That was, I forget who did that one, but it was good. That one was good. And they had a couple.
I sent it. I wrote her back and I was like, you do know what day it is, right? And she's like, what? No.
Oh, she believed
She was so excited to go see the zebra shows.
Horses of Iceland had a good one. They said big changes coming to travel in Iceland due to the rising tourism and high demand. All visitors arriving at the airport will be assigned their very own Icelandic horse to travel around the island. No more rental cars. And it went on the whole thing about how you pick up your horse, where you go, and all. It was very cute. It was very good.
Did you see the thing about Chester Weber?
Yes. His horses were unicorns.
They're all unicorns. It found out. Yeah.
Kentucky Horse Park had the best video, though. They really did. It was
Oh, no, did they do the sinkhole ones again where they got in all that trouble?
No,
that was Horse
they
Nation.
showed an addition to the mounted police, and they had close-ups of this new horse that they were putting in the mounted police, and they threw the mounted police really cool saddle pad over it, and it was very close-ups and everything. And then they pull away to a mounted policeman riding one of their great big horses, and he was leading this little mini that had the saddle pad on. But the way they shot the video made it look like a full-size horse until they pulled away. It was so cute. It was very cute. It was very well done.
Love it.
I give them the cutest one. There were so many yesterday. But anyway, there were none that I really went, well, that crossed the line. They were all just, I think people are done crossing the line with these now.
Well, it turns out Leslie Wiley got in enough trouble for them all. So
yes, exactly.
With the Horse Nation sinkholes at the horse park, and the Rolex was canceled, and
Leslie went overboard on those. I did chat with her, by the way, on Facebook the other day. She's writing a lot of articles for her hometown in Tennessee, and they're very well done. Leslie is a good writer. That's why people believe those April Fools, because she's a good writer. But she's doing great. She's your kid's doing great, so family's well. So Leslie said hi to everybody.
Cool.
All right. Well, that's it. Auditors, hang on for the post show. We're going to do the auditor highlight today. Actually, Ashley helped me with this one. Alex Hamilton is going to join us, and Alex has something that we've never seen happen here at the Horse Radio Network, and Alex did it. So we'll find out what that is.
Spay and neuter geld.
Time for the Auditor Post Show. We want to remind you that this is not always safe for work or the kiddos. Thanks for hanging around for our nonsense.